Hey guys, what is going on? My name is NoJ456, and today I'm going to be doing the very sad and difficult task of breaking down the ending of Blood of the Dead and explaining what exactly this means. I'm going to be answering questions like which Richtofen this actually is, and why all the other characters don't really seem to care that he is dying behind them. Of course, if you have not seen the cutscene, I definitely recommend going to check that out first. It is not going to make much sense unless you go ahead and watch that first. And then if you would like to see the full boss fight, which actually has a lot more storyline in that as well, I'm going to link to that full boss fight video down below as well. I would also like to let you guys know that the Shadow Man Minimalistic t-shirt and the Where We Droppin' Boys shirts are selling out fast at NoJ456shop.com. Make sure you get yours if you are interested, and the posters will be restocked very soon. With all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the breakdown. Now, the first thing that happens in the cutscene when you kill the warden is that all of the souls that have been trapped on this island and trapped in this purgatory have been released. And with that, it actually includes the original 4 characters from Mob of the Dead. The reason that we know these 4 characters from Mob of the Dead are included in these people who have been freed from this purgatory is this quote from Richtofen right here.
Sal, Finn, Al, that teensy little seagull. The ghosts of Alcatraz have bought us the time. We'll use every moment.
Every single one of the blue souls and the zombies themselves in this dimension have been ensnared here by the warden. He basically has performed a ritual that turned the entire island into a dimension away from itself, and the only thing that is powering this dimension is all of the souls that are trapped inside who are constantly suffering, but their heart and soul is actually keeping this dimension open and basically doing the warden's bidding without their permission. So it's important to know that when these souls are released, this is actually impacting this dimension as a whole. This is not just some happy moment that happens. Not only that, but that is actually affecting whether or not this dimension can even exist anymore. And here's a spoiler alert. This dimension cannot exist without all of these souls powering it.
Ain't that swell? Does that mean we win?
I would be greatly relieved if that were so. I am in no hurry to ensnare my mortal soul.
That will not be necessary, Nikolai. The future has changed.
The Chronorium?
Read it. Learn of your true calling. You must keep your soul. It will be needed to defeat Dr. Monty.
Who?
So this part is super important to understanding the storyline, and let's break it down piece by piece. So first of all, Nikolai, Takio, and Dempsey have absolutely no clue who Dr. Monty is. They've never heard that name before because they have not experienced Garad Krovi and Revelations. Like I said, basically these characters go to Alcatraz just like they've done many times before. These characters have been in this cycle for so long, but in these versions of the characters, they are basically, whenever they get teleported there from Zetsuma no Shima, they have not experienced Garad Krovi yet. And this time, something happens. The warden breaks the portal. They are trapped in this purgatory, and they basically have to fight their way out. But when they do, it actually awakens a new Richtofen that has been stored there for who knows how long on ice. So let's talk about who this new Richtofen is, because that is the next most important thing, and probably the most important thing to understanding this entire cutscene. So the first thing we're going to do to understand this is mark the 2 Richtofens. Number 1, the Richtofen that dies and the Richtofen that we have been playing with is Primus Richtofen. Now, this Primus Richtofen has not yet experienced Garad Krovi. He has not yet experienced getting wiped away from existence by Dr. Monty and put back into place and basically creating the cycle in the first place. However, he does know about all this. This Primus Richtofen is very important. This is the Richtofen that we've been playing with since Origins. So that is the differentiation. That is Primus Richtofen. That's what we're going to be calling Primus Richtofen. Now, the Richtofen that steps out of the cryo chamber is also Primus Richtofen. The only difference is between the two is that the one that steps out of the cryo chamber has experienced Garad Krovi and has experienced Revelation and has been basically been creating the cycle with Dr. Monty. Dr. Monty has put this Richtofen back into the Great War, and that's why he's wearing this outfit that he is at the end of the Revelations cutscene, is that this Richtofen has experienced all that, and that's how we can tell that this Richtofen is basically the Great War Richtofen that was put back in time by Dr. Monty, creating the cycle in the first place. So this Richtofen figured out a way, and he actually doesn't know himself. He asks himself, the first question he asks whenever he gets out of the cryopod is, how did I get here? Like, how did I do this? How did I become this Richtofen? again in this timeline, and then he kind of realizes slowly, I'm at Alcatraz, let's see what's going on upstairs. He goes out, and with the crystal that people have a lot of debate about, because Richtofen's staff, the staff that he's kind of holding in Revelations, is not the fire staff. It's not technically his staff. So while it could be the fire crystal, maybe they just like each split up and went to go get a new crystal part. We don't really understand what's happening with this crystal. It could be the fire crystal. It seems like it is the fire crystal, but again, that is not Richtofen's staff, so we're not really sure what exactly it is, but he goes out, he kills everything. He obviously knows exactly what to do in order to defeat Brutus, and this Richtofen here is the most important one, because he basically makes a decision to not let a different version of himself die at the end of this cutscene. He doesn't shoot himself like he does in The Giant. He is making a conscious decision to kill that guy. That's his goal. He basically makes the decision, hey, you're basically just a younger version of me. I wish I could say I'm sorry, but I'm not. Like, I'm still going to exist whether or not you die, because I have gone through these events and I was the one that was stuck in the cycle, and you have finally broken me out, but I'm going to let you die. Now, while this does explain kind of why Richtofen doesn't care, and is kind of sinister in a way, we don't know what all he has experienced since the events of Revelations and how many times he has been through this loop and whether or not he is conscious of that. The thing that blew my mind and just made me so sad was that the rest of the characters don't care at all. But if you think about it, it's not strange at all that they don't care, and they actually make mention of them just wishing Richtofen was dead. Listen to this quote from Nikolai, just absolutely furious with Richtofen. They joke around with each other, so it's kind of hard to tell. Whenever this map has serious moments, you can tell the other characters hate Richtofen, man. They've been through so much together, but they are really, really getting tired of possibly being trapped in eternal suffering. This is serious stuff that they are experiencing. It may just be a map for us, but for them, for these characters, it's a real thing. They could possibly be stuck forever, powering basically with their souls in eternal purgatory where they are constantly suffering. That's what the warden tells them. And it's the first thing that Nikolai says. If there's one regret I have, it's that I didn't get to kill you, Richtofen. And this is the quote right here.
Richtofen's way, his only way. For so long, I have followed, jumping through portals and times and spaces. So many times, I had chance to kill you and go different way, but no. Then Demon Warden finally killed me. That will be one regret.
So Nikolai says if he has one regret, it's that he didn't kill Richtofen, and that is some pretty harsh stuff. And while the other characters may not feel as strongly as Nikolai, they definitely have similar sentiments about just where they've been led. Like, the adventures they've been on are really not adventures. They're terrible, terrible, terrible memories that these guys will just be haunted by for their entire life. And these characters are just done with it. So why do they just trust the new Richtofen? Why does the new Richtofen come through and they just are so happy to leave the old one to just bleed out that they've been with since Origins? And why are they so happy to go with the new one? And it's because the new one not only tells Nikolai, he tells Nikolai, you do not have to kill your other self. Nikolai, you could hear him the entire map, just did not want to kill his older self. He did not want to kill the 1.0 version. Obviously, Grog Crow hadn't happened, so he hadn't done it yet. That's where they were going next. And Richtofen had been telling him, you got to do it, you got to do it, you got to do it, over and over and over. And then this new Richtofen comes in and says, no, you don't have to do it. We need your soul for something else. So, I mean, if you're Nikolai, that's plenty of reason right there. If I've been told over and over, I have to do this, and then this new guy comes out and says, hey, you don't have to do that thing you don't want to do. I mean, obviously that's going to build a level of trust there. Not only that, but the new Richtofen, the one that is post-Revelations that comes out, he trusts Nikolai with the Chronorium, something that the old Richtofen never entrusted to these guys. He basically never thought they could understand it, or thought that they would be smart enough to do it, or just basically didn't trust them to not screw him over if they saw their fates. Basically, this new Richtofen says, hey, your destiny has been rewritten, but I want you to read it, and I'm going to give you this level of trust to read the Chronorium, which they have never received before, and is pretty important to them. So the last two things to explain are, number one, what is going to happen in this dimension, and what else is in this dimension that's important, and number two, the blood vials. So number one, at the very end of the cutscene, you see everything fade to black, and that is signifying this dimension is now dying. Everything that kept this dimension open, the warden keeping all the souls, the warden's soul, and then basically every single soul that was trapped on Alcatraz was keeping this dimension open. Once the warden died and all of these souls were freed, there is nothing that is powering this dimension and keeping it like ripped open in time and space anymore. It is now going to close off, and basically everything on here is going to cease to exist. So number one, what that means, Primus Richthofen, who is now dead in that chair, is going to cease to exist. There's no recovering his body. There's no bringing him back to life. He is going to cease to exist from this point forward. And number 2, Victus crew is going to cease to exist. Basically, unless something happened behind the scenes to save them, or there's another dimensional version that we will see in the future. This is very, very possibly the very last time that we will ever see that crew, ever, because they have now ceased to exist. This was the same version of the crew. There wasn't multiple Misties. There weren't multiple Stuhlingers. This was the crew, and now they have ceased to exist unless something saved them behind the scenes, or they were transported in some sort of way. But that is the truth of it, man. They are not going to ever appear in another game unless they pull something crazy with the storyline. That's number 1. Number 2, the blood vials are no longer needed. I know it seemed like they were important. I know it kind of seemed like Richthofen, who was dying on the chair, was just so sad about him taking the summoning key and the blood vials. That was really just the culmination of his work. He worked so hard. He did all the hard work. He was sitting there just dying, and on his last breath is just saying, I did all this work, everything that I did, I was the nicest one, and you won't even remember. Basically just saying, I did this was my life's work, getting the blood vials, saving my existence, keeping the cycle open. It is all what I was going to do. But now that the cycle is broken, and now that these characters have broken out with post-Revelations Richthofen, there's no need for the blood vials anymore. You can just smash them on the ground, because what they are used for now no longer is going to happen. For these characters, the cycle is broken, so there's no longer a need for it, and Richthofen is just devastated because he number 1, no one is going to save him, and number 2, everything that he worked for will never be remembered because it is never going to happen anyway, and that's what makes this just so sad for this character's arc. And part of what in my opinion makes this cutscene just so heart-wrenching, man, is that not only can he not depend on his friends, and his friends aren't going to save him, they hate him. Number 2 is that everything he worked for in his entire life to secure a better tomorrow, no one cares about, and no one is even going to remember. So that's part of why this cutscene is just so heart-wrenching, and such a great cutscene overall. So that being said, guys, make sure you guys put in the comments if you have any more questions about the storyline, any more questions about the cutscene. I would love to hear your thoughts and everything, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Make sure you leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you did as well. I'm going to be going for a solo Blood of the Dead completion later on today that I'm really, really excited about. But that being said, thank you all for coming out.